A Spanish call-in line for the community to hear the meeting interpreted live has been established. The number is 508-924-5155. Board Member LaSalle Frazier, please make the announcement in Spanish.
Buenas tardes. Una línea en español se ha hecho para que la comunidad pueda llamar y escuchar esta reunión y va a ser interpretada en vivo. Por favor, llamen al 508-924-5155. Repito, el número es el 508-924-5155.
Thank you and gracias. Finally, for those who are not able to observe tonight, this meeting is being recorded and can be accessed for later viewing via the Prince George's County Public Schools YouTube channel. Now we will move to item 2.2 and 2.3, the board prayer and pledge allegiance. Board Member LaSalle Frazier, please lead us in board prayer and pledge of allegiance.
O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us into action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen.
Amen.
Oh Dios, oramos que administremos todo lo que es justo en reglamentos educacionales, siendo conscientes de tu dirección. Guía nuestras acciones con amor, sabiduría y entendimiento. Amén.
Amen. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Ellis, would you please call the roll?
Good evening. Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Here.
Ms. Busa Strother.
Here.
Mr. Cerrone Ruiz.
Here.
Dr. Harris.
Here.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier.
Present.
Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Here.
Dr. Z. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Murray.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Valentine. Mrs. Williams.
Present.
Dr. Miller.
Present. We have a quorum. 11 members. Now we will have the adoption of the agenda for September 22nd, 2022 board meeting. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda for September 22nd, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved in second that we adopt the agenda for September 22nd, 2022 board meeting. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, board member Adam Stafford.
I would like to add an emergency item to the agenda to discuss transportation issues across the district.
Second.
It is moved in second that we add transportation issues to this. It's not on the agenda. Oh, where to put it? Well, first of all, let's get a motion to accept the, let's move the motion to accept adding this to the agenda. Dr. Golson.
I don't have appropriate staff here to address them.
Ms. Adams, Stafford, would you postpone your motion?
No, I can't. I'm receiving calls daily from community members that are concerned about their children arriving to school 3 hours late, that their bus routes are they're not running properly, and I feel like this is a district-wide issue we need to address. It's urgent and immediate.
I
actually have a paragraph to discuss it today in my opening comments.
Excuse me?
I actually am going to address how
You will
parents
address it.
in my opening comments in my CEO report.
Okay, is that satisfactory with you, Ms. Stafford?
I mean, will we be able to ask specific questions about this? Because the discussion
again-
has been limited in the past.
Board Oh, yes, but Vice Chair Williams.
There is a policy there's a board policy that dictates how we are to address questions and issues to the CEO and to give her an opportunity to respond to those questions. So I think because there are no transportation services personnel here, all that we can do today is to receive the questions and allow the CEO to respond to the questions in accordance with the policy that we have on our books. And then you will respond accordingly? Is that correct, Madam CEO?
Yes, I will.
Is that acceptable to you?
No, I feel that we should have a discussion because I think that this is a really urgent issue that affects student academic performance.
Board Mickens Murray?
I was suggesting that we call for the vote, because if we need to give the CEO an opportunity to address the issue, then it may not be appropriate to do it tonight. So just call for the vote.
All right, all four, may I have the roll call to add to the agenda an emergency item on transportation? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Vucer Strother,
No.
Mr. Cerrone Ruiz,
No.
Dr. Harris,
No.
I'm sorry,
No.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
No.
Mrs. Mickens Murray,
No.
Dr. Z. Miller,
No.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Valentine, Mrs. Williams,
No.
Dr. Miller,
No.
8 noes, 3 yeses, and 1 absent.
The motion fails. We will move, now we will move to adopt the agenda for September 22nd, 2022. May I have a motion? Oh, you'll take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
No.
Ms. Vucer Strother,
Yes.
Mr. Cerrone Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Harris,
Yes.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Yes.
Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Yes.
Dr. Z. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Murray,
No.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Valentine,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes. The motion carries to adopt the agenda for September 22nd, 2022 board meeting. Now we will move into 2.6, approval of board meeting minutes for June 23rd, 2023, 2022. May I have a motion?
I move that we accept the board meeting minutes for June 23rd, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved in second to approve the board minute meetings for June 23rd, 2022. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposition? The minutes for June 23rd, 2022 have been approved. Now we will move to the news break. A technical turtle. Please turn your attention to the projector to view tonight's news break presentation entitled, A Technical Turtle.
Who doesn't love a green sea turtle? It's got charisma. Babies that we all cheer for when they hatch from their eggs and they rush down to the sea. And because they are found in every ocean around the world, the green sea turtle is a global citizen. So, what better mascot for a high school filled with international students than a resilient reptile that the world embraces? To honor the mascot of the International High School at Largo, an artist who once attended Largo High School, and some current IHSL students painted a mural featuring a sea turtle, unlike any ever seen in the wild. For to honor 13 of the 28 countries of origin of the 400 students, the turtle shell is covered with national flags.
The background is just unpainted brick. So one way to approach this is treat that entire quadrant as a canvas and paint the whole thing. But we wanted it to be blank, remain blank, just be the turtle, and add the drop shadow for a 3D effect so that the turtle, it becomes part of the environment.
I paint like one leg, maybe the blue. I help to paint the blue and in the top and down.
So did you ride the lift up? Did they put you on the ladder? Yeah? Were you scared?
No, I really like it.
Along with her sister, Janaris also painted the turtle's Puerto Rican flag. At a school where the ESOL students, English for speakers of other languages, help each other speak English and adapt to America, the sea turtle seems to understand the struggle. With its knowing face and without speaking a word, the gentle reptile, which faces many hazards in the sea, embodies the school's 4 guiding principles of curiosity, aspiration, resilience, and empathy.
It's one of the only turtles that does not hide its neck in its shell. It sort of always sticks its neck out. It sort of takes those risks. And that's sort of one of our themes for the year is we're trying to encourage our students to take risks and try new things.
You know, if you had to pick one thing, what do you like?
Well, can I pick 2? Because I do love that it's 3D and it looks like it's coming off the wall, but I also love the colors of the skin of the turtle because it looks so iridescent, it pops off the wall. It's not just one solid color. You did a great job at layering the colors and then making it pop. So I think the turtle pops itself and then the flags are a beautiful touch to it.
Congratulations to the International Schools students on their new mural. May their sea turtle always be an accurate reflection of who they are. This is Dave Zarin reporting.
Go Sea Turtles!
Thank you. Now we will move to item 2.8, report of the chair. At this moment, we will give silence to those. At this time, I ask that all of you join me in honoring the memory of the following Prince George's County Public School staff, family, and community members with a moment of silence. Christopher Luzunares, student, Gwynn Park High School. Tanisha Riles, student, Potomac High School. The Honorable David Harrington, President and CEO Emeritus, Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce and Kaiser Permanente, Mid-Atlantic States Incorporated, Senior Director of Community Relations and Stakeholder Engagement. Anton Collins, Custodian, Building Services, Oxon Hill Middle School. Betty Playa, sister of Michelle Winston, who is the Director of Internal Audit. Esther Manzugu and Susanna Najoli, aunts of District 5 Board Member Dr. Zippor Miller. Please continue to keep these families in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. September 15th, 2022 was the first day of National Hispanic Heritage Month. Both members, Saron Ruiz and LaSalle Frazier, I yield the floor to you to say a few words of recognition. Board Member Saron Ruiz, as our student board member, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you. Feliz Mes de la Herencia Hispana and happy Hispanic Heritage Month, everyone. I am truly overjoyed that our school system takes the time to ensure that they celebrate this truly important month for all of the Latin and Hispanic students and staff members that make up our school system. I am truly thankful for all of our parents and students who actually have submitted to our virtual showcase that our communications team is doing and sharing a piece of their culture. Something that I always love to see in Hispanic Heritage Month is that I always learn something new because there's so many different things that make up Hispanic heritage. There's so many different countries, different types of foods, dances, and so I'm truly thankful for the parents and students who have submitted their videos, their recipes, poems, dances to our webpage to share with our community. And I truly ask that more of our families, more of our students feel comfortable to share by uploading on the PGCPS website. So happy Hispanic Heritage Month, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Saran Ruiz. Board Member Lasalle Frazier, I yield the floor to you.
Happy Hispanic Heritage Month for everyone. Felicidades. I am very proud to share with you some facts about our Latino community in the U.S. So for example, did you know that Latinos account for over half of the country's population growth in the last decade? 63 million plus to be exact. And that Latinos are young. 6 out of 10 Latinos are millennials or younger. And a record 800,000 Latinos turn 21 every year. We are hard workers. By 2050, 55% of all workers will be Latino. 80% of all small business growth during the last decade was created by Latino entrepreneurs. We also like to spend. Latinos are $1.7 trillion market. Our GNP, if we were a country, would be ahead of Canada, Spain, and Australia. This translates to a lot of buying power. In PGCPS, 36% of all students are Latino, and we're growing, so we need to take notice. So in conclusion, I want to say that we are hard workers. We play hard, we grow, we're entrepreneurial, and we're here to stay. Gracias.
Thank you, Board Member Lasalle Frazier, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Next, I will yield the floor to Dr. Z. Miller, who will discuss an update regarding the Academic Achievement Committee and the topics for this school year.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Just want to give an update. Thank you to our CEO for the September 8th meeting and presenting a comprehensive school opening report. During that work session, there were some requests from our colleagues for some data. So we have collaborated with the CEO, and her and her team will give us a verbal analysis and present the data to us. So the dates as follows. In November, they'll do the core content pass rate for mathematics and science by race and special education. They will also give us, in December 12th, the core content pass rate for English language arts, social studies by race and special ed, and then the kindergarten grade 1 and 2 literacy data. And then in January, we'll have the disaggregated benchmark analysis. So we hope you'll join us on those dates when we get the updates and the verbal analysis of the data that was requested.
Thank you, Dr. Z. Miller, and I appreciate how we are following up with that data upon the request of board members. There was a special meeting held virtually on Thursday, September 15th. One of the items discussed was the naming of the middle school in Adelphi. A motion was made and seconded to change the name of the school. At this time, I would like to provide a clarification to the public on this issue. As a result of a motion that the Policy and Governance Committee Chair brought to our attention that we were out of alignment with our policy, we will take this opportunity tonight to correct that. And so I will yield the floor to Board Member Lasalle Frazier to make a motion. Board Member Lasalle Frazier.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I move to suspend the rules which interfere with the naming of the middle school at Adelphi as Sonia Sotomayor at Adelphi Middle School.
I second.
Thank you, Madam Lasalle Frazier and Board Member Mickens-Murray for the second. In order for this to pass, we need a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules for the policy that we were in violation of. Madam Anise, would you take the roll?
Mrs. Adam Stafford?
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Yes.
Mr. Saron Ruiz,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Aye.
Dr. Z. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas,
Aye.
Mr. Valentine,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous. Now we will take a vote to rename the school. Is it Judge Soto? Would you read the, make the motion, and then we will take the vote on that?
Yes. I moved that we name the middle school at Adelphi Sonia Sotomayor at Adelphi.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it unanimously passes. Thank you. I will yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, colleagues. And we will move to, I wanted to make a statement in terms of that, congratulations on this approval, and that there are some other protocol issues that we will discuss with Dr. Golson in terms of follow-up on this. Thank you. Please check our webpage for information about upcoming board meetings. The next meeting of the board will be a work session on Thursday, October 13th at 5 p.m. Academic Achievement Committee will meet virtually on Monday, October 17th at 5:30 p.m. The Policy and Governance Committee's virtual meeting is on Tuesday, October 18th at 5 p.m. Wednesday, October 19th at 5 p.m. on the Operations, Budget, and Fiscal Affairs Committee will meet virtually as well. And Thursday, October 27th, we will have our board meeting at 7 p.m. Continue to check our webpage for information about upcoming board meetings. Now we will move to item 2.9, the report of the Chief Executive Officer. Dr. Golson, I now yield the floor to you.
Thank you. Good evening and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. If you have not already done so, please check out our Hispanic Heritage Month Cultural Showcase on the PGCPS website. It features poetry, songs, foods, photographs, art, and stories that reflect Hispanic and Latinx culture and identity. As many of you are aware, we continue to face a bus driver shortage and are in the process of adjusting bus routes to help ensure timely pickup and drop-off of students. If you are still experiencing issues, please contact transportation staff at 301-952-6570. I repeat again, please contact transportation staff at 301-952-6570, or you can email your concerns to transpor, TRANSPOR, at pgcps.org. That again is transpor, TRANSPOR, at pgcps.org. Board members, please continue to forward individual concerns as you have already done so to myself, so we can have staff address those parents and investigate what's happening with those individual bus routes. As part of ongoing efforts to ensure students have access to critical health care, we are partnering with Prince George's County Health Department and Hazel Health to provide free physical and mental health teleservices. Services can be accessed while at school or from home. Services will begin in middle schools and K-8 academies on October 10th, followed by high schools the week of October 24th. Elementary school support will happen after high schools have launched October 24th and will take place in the evenings. Please be on the lookout for more details on our website and our community newsletter. While we have returned to a mask option status, we will continue to partner with the health department and maintain cleaning protocols to ensure the ongoing safety of students and staff. Please continue to monitor our website for any changes and ensure that your correct phone number and email addresses are updated in SchoolMax. September 19th was the deadline for all students to receive vaccinations required for school as mandated by the state. Your child may now be excluded from school if they do not have their vaccinations or do not already have a scheduled appointment to see their doctor. Please visit our website for details and where you can find vaccination clinics. And lastly, if you haven't already done so, please apply for free and reduced meals to make sure your child has access to meal benefits while at school. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Golson. Before we move to the next item, Board Member Saron Ruiz, would you introduce our special guest tonight?
Yeah, sure. So I would like to introduce our representative from the Prince George's County Regional Association of Student Governments. PGRAS is the county-level student government. As some may not know, we have our school-based SGAs, but we have a county student government full of students who are set to lead our school SGAs and represent us on the county and state level. In the years prior to the pandemic, it was practiced to have a representative from PGRAS along with our stakeholders at board meetings. I'm excited to say that with tonight's board meeting, we will continue this practice by having a PGRAS representative at our board meetings. Tonight, we are honored to have Elizabeth Adoye with us here tonight.
Thank you, Board Member. Now we will move into 210, the introduction of committee members and committee charge. First is Operations, Budget, and Fiscal Affairs. Dr. Harris, at the OBAFA Committee Chair, please introduce the committee members and charge. And before Dr. Harris begins, I'd like to extend congratulations to him in earning his PhD a few weeks ago or months ago.
I appreciate you. Good afternoon or evening, everyone. I'll be doing the OBAFA committee charge and introduction of our members. So firstly is me, Dr. Kenneth Harris, the chair of the committee. We have board member Madeline Lasadia Frazier as my wonderful vice chair. We have Dr. Juanita Miller, our board chair and also member of the OBAFA committee, and then we have board member David Murray. The charge of the OBAFA committee is on behalf of the board, we are charged with the oversight of issues involving school system operations, budget, and fiscal affairs. The committee is responsible for reviewing issues pertaining to the management and audit of functions in the Prince George's County public school system, reviewing and providing recommendations regarding fiscal, capital, and human resources, including the board's operating budget, the CIP, staffing plans, and allocations. The Board of Education's Director of Internal Audit shall attend the meetings of the standing committee. A member of this committee shall serve as the board's liaison to the MBE and LBE advisory committee when active. Specifically, the committee will review financial statements provided to the board monthly, review budget alignment, realignment, and transfer requests provided monthly, and specifically show how the modifications reflect on the previously approved budget, ensure that the board's summary statements are complete and that appropriate attachments are provided, ensure equity in all budgetary matters, including CIP, while recognizing priority needs in the school district, promote community participation before the final adoption of the budget, and monitor corrective action plans consistent with audit findings and recommendations. Lastly, I've read the charge and the committee task. Board Chair Miller, I'd like to make one additional announcement regarding OBAFA, if you'll allow it.
You have the floor.
Cool. So recently, the OBAFA committee has released our annual community survey for FY24 budget prioritization. The deadline for participating in this survey is October 15th. October 15th. It is available in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and French, and allows the community to let their voices be heard for funding prioritizations in FY24. The data points will be disseminated to the respective board members according to participants' responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Any comments? No, hearing none. We'll move on to, Board Member Saron Ruiz.
Yes, so I know you said the forum closes October 15th, and this is the forum for the public, correct? And so when we receive it as board members, I'm not sure if we got a deadline for our budget priorities. I don't know when those are due.
When are they due, Dr. Harris?
Okay, I was like, is that a question for me? So, so the survey's public for the community. It's posted on the PGCPS website. Board members, I'll have it sent to you directly to your inbox. But the date, are you asking about how the board members participate or how you get your information?
So I know as board members, we have to submit our budget priorities as well.
Okay.
And so
okay.
I'm hoping, the deadlines give lane for us to make proper priorities.
Yep. So that's why the deadline is the 15th. So the deadline's the 15th. I'll be discussing the information that we get at the OBAFA meeting on the 19th, I think is the next one. And then from there, I'll send you the information, and then after that is when you give your recommendation. So you'll have plenty of time. I'll make sure of it.
Thank you, Dr. Harris and Mr. Saron Ruiz. Now we will move to item 2. Oh, are there any more comments? We will move to item 2.11, Policy and Governance Committee recommendations. Ms. Mickens-Murray, as the chair of the Policy and Governance Committee, please present the committee's public comment recommendations for policies 0109, 3500, and 5133.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Policy and Governance Committee met virtually on August 23rd, 2022, with the following members in attendance: Judy Mickens-Murray, Committee Chair; Sonia Williams, Board Member Sonia Williams, and Board Member Pamela Boozer-Struther. The committee discussed the revisions of the following policies: Policy 0109, Financial Impropriety, Improper Conduct, and Whistleblower Protection. The purpose for the policy comes as PGCPS is a tax-supported entity and recognizes its responsibility for ensuring a high level of integrity and commitment to responsible stewardship of resources. This policy outlines the school system's standard of ethics and professional conduct. The second policy, 3500, naming of schools, school district facilities, dedicating areas of schools and school district facilities or grounds, and erecting monuments, is to establish an orderly and transparent process by which the Board of Education names or renames school buildings and monuments. Policy 5113, student attendance, absence, and truancy, is to promote regular school attendance by students in Prince George's County Public Schools. The committee voted unanimously to forward all policies to the full board with a recommendation that the policies be sent out for public comment. Madam Chair, may I make a motion at this time? I move that the board send these three policies, 0109, 3500, 5113, out for public comment.
It has been moved and second to move those three policies out for public comment. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Board Member Pamela Boozer-Struther? No, well, you can have a discussion.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to comment as a member of the committee that these are three really important policies, and I think that the public should give us their feedback, and I'm encouraging that feedback, and I will certainly be doing my part to promote that this opportunity is available. I think we certainly need to look at our policy on the naming of buildings, and then ultimately the AP that goes with that, because we have a lot of work ahead of us as our renaming committee will likely, come back and be active, and they need really clear guidance. So I'm asking for the public to take this opportunity and work with us on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Boozer Strother. Any other comments? We will now move to item 3.1. Colleagues, we have 2 registered live public comment speakers this evening and 32 written public comments and 2 pre-recorded videos. The written and pre-recorded videos will be posted on board docs. Now to the public speakers. You have been registered to speak in a public forum where the Board of Education will listen to your comments. The board will not address your comments. You must speak on the topic for which you have been registered. All registered speakers will have 3 minutes to provide comments. At the sound of the buzzer, speakers may complete that sentence only. Registered speakers may not relinquish any part of their speaking time to another registered or unregistered individual. Speakers may not address individuals or issues with profanity or derogatory terms. You will be warned once. If you continue, you may be asked to leave the meeting. Speakers are encouraged to use titles rather than names. For example, principal, CEO, deputy superintendent, etc. Your adherence to these guidelines will enable the public participation process to move smoothly. Our first registered speaker for tonight is Michelle Clark, individual, special education staffing and negotiated agreement.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. The special education staffing manual, I believe, is going to be presented tonight. I was reading through it because we had a misunderstanding at my school and thought that some of the staffing was going to change a little bit. For example, all of our pre-K classes currently have 3 adults instead of the 4 that we had always previously had. So I was very happy to see that 10-2 is the official ratio, and I'm sure staffing shortages are part of the reason we're having issues. We also lost a teacher at the very beginning of this year. We weren't expecting that. So a 4-year-old autism class was split up and all the students were put into pre-K. So we're checking, obviously we're doing the data and research to make sure that that is an appropriate placement for them because that is not where they originally were slated to go. It does make for an interesting problem in the pre-K classes when we're short a staff member and we're getting students with more needs than what is easily handleable under normal circumstances. But we roll with the punches like everybody else does. I know everybody has given up something in order to make sure that our schools are fully staffed. So going over to the negotiated agreement. One of the things is we did make great progress as far as our cost of living adjustments for the next 3 years. However, we are still below the other DC metro area jurisdictions. And as long as we remain below them in our base salaries, we will continue to have staffing shortages. I moved my life from Baltimore City to Prince George's County when I began working here. I'm happy to stay here. I want to stay here, and I want to be here. I love servicing our students, especially those with the greatest needs. That is my purpose. But not everybody can afford to do that. And it's something that this board and the CEO is going to need to address going forward, because if we're not competitive, what can we do? We lose people all the time to other jurisdictions. They look at us as the training ground. Send them to Prince George's County, they can be hired, they can get trained up, they can get fully certified, and then they're gone. And everybody else wants to hire our folks. We are a good county to work for, but we need to make sure that we are competitive so that everybody has the best opportunity to stay here and do our jobs. Thank you.
Clark. Next will be Dr. Donna Christie, Prince George's County Educators Association, on the negotiated agreement for Prince George's County Educators Association.
Good evening, esteemed members of the school board. I am Dr. Donna Christie, President of the Prince George's County Educators Association, and I am honored to represent our certificated education professionals tonight. We are pleased to be ratifying our negotiated agreement this evening. We want to thank Howard Burnett for his leadership and the other members of the board's negotiations team for their hard work in getting us to this point. PGCEA's negotiations team entered the process intent on finding solutions to the many problems and concerns our members had and know to be driving educators from the profession. There has been no shortage of headlines in the media highlighting the nationwide need for educators. We here in Prince George's County have been experiencing this problem for some time, and as the issue has spread, it has deepened here. State Superintendent Chaudhary recently remarked that the shortage of educators we have been experiencing is a national problem, but the solutions are local. Based on his report, local working conditions have been the primary driver of the staffing shortages. We believe that this historic negotiated agreement, with progress on approximately 80 contract provisions and a compensation package that narrows the salary gap between us and surrounding counties, will make a difference in retaining and recruiting highly qualified educators to serve our students and community. It is our sincere hope that this contract will lead to stabilizing our workforce. Now it is time to shift to implementation, and we hope that we can work together to ensure consistency in implementation across all schools and work sites. Collective bargaining negotiations are never easy. Making concessions to achieve an agreement is always tricky for both sides. Both sides often leave the table with hurt feelings and bruised relationships. I hope that as we move forward and implement this new contract, we will be able to acknowledge any harms that have been done and work to restore our relationships. It will only be through a robust labor management partnership that we will be able to provide a world-class education to our students. PGCEA will continue to work to lead us out of the pandemic and toward the promise of a great public school for every student. And we hope that you will partner with us in that mission. On behalf of our members, we thank this board for agreeing to the provisions of this negotiated agreement. We are committed to healing and restoration as we move forward and invite you and the administration to join us in that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Christie. The topics for the 32 written testimonies consist of support of Phase 2 of alternative construction financing for Hyattsville Elementary School, the teacher incident at Stephen Decatur Middle School, and board policies. All testimonies received have been placed on board docs. The registered public comments pre-recording video were submitted by Mr. Matt Jimbecki, Hyattsville Elementary PTA, support for Blueprint School Phase 2, and Laura Pillsbury, Hyattsville Elementary PTA, alternative construction financing Phase 2 package for Hyattsville Elementary School. This concludes the public comment. The testimony of commenters who registered and provided written or electronic testimony has been posted on board docs for review by board members and the public. We will now move to the consent agenda. Dr. Gosen, please introduce items 4.1 through 4.8.
Thank you. Items 4.1 through 4.8 requires board approval of proclamations commemorating National School Psychology Week, Red Ribbon Week, National Bullying Prevention Month, International Conflict Resolution Day, World Space Week, National Day of Writing, Read for the Record Day, and a proclamation to approve the Special Education Staffing Plan for State Fiscal Year 2023. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve items 4.1 through 4.8 under the budget consent agenda?
Dr. Miller, can we pull item 4.8 separately?
Which one?
The last one, the special education staffing plan. I just had a few questions about it.
You want that pulled?
Thank you.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for items 4.1 through 4.7? It has.
Second.
It has been moved in second to approve the consent agenda for items 4.1 through 4.7. Discussion, and Mr. Murray, did you have anything else to add?
Yes, I had a couple questions for.
Oh, okay, we'll take, oh, well, I thought it was on, okay. All in favor for 4.1 through 4.7?
Aye.
The motion carries. Any abstentions or opposition? Mr. Tatum would have a fit with this. Okay, the motion carries to approve the consent agenda for items 4.1 through 4.7. Now, moving to 4.8. May I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve 4.8. Any discussion? Now, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. My question was around the use of telehealth sessions and services. What PGCPS staff will be, I guess, supervising and monitoring those students during those telehealth services?
So during our, hello, the mic. Is this better? Yes. So basically, our telehealth, we use .com therapy for speech services. So we do have a PGCPS facilitator that supports the students with accessing those services to be able to access the speech and language pathologist online. We also do provide counseling services through teletherapy, and again, that is done as well with the facilitator to support the students with access.
Okay, could you say a little more about the facilitator? I'm trying to understand, like, when the student does these services in the school, like, are they in a separate room? Who's with them? How does that look and work?
So typically, our facilitators are either paraprofessionals. Sometimes they are actually a teacher, the resource teacher. And so each school determines where those services are delivered. And sometimes they are delivered actually in the classroom, and sometimes they are delivered in a pull-out room, depending on what the student is working on. So if they're doing articulation or fluency, they may actually be in a separate room. If they're looking at pragmatics and interacting with peers, they would actually be in the classroom.
Okay.
So it really depends on the service delivery model.
Thank you. That's helpful. And one follow-up question about telehealth and contracted services. Is there a plan in place to eventually move towards reducing reliance on these services in favor of, PGCPS staff professionals who will be providing them face-to-face, as is, has historically been done?
The great thing in terms of leveraging our platforms is we actually even have PGCPS speech pathologists that are full-time employees that are actually leveraging teletherapy. We've been able to leverage that and minimize them moving from one school to the next in terms of traffic time. And so that we also actually have employees of our school district leveraging the platforms to provide teletherapy services. We will continue, as always, with our authorized positions to fill those vacancies and to mitigate those vacancies also with contracted services, both in person and virtually.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. My question is around incidents or critical incidents, I suppose. So during the month of September, how many IEP, student, and related staff injuries or critical incidents were there?
When you say critical incidents, could you define that a little bit more for me?
So my general take of it was a general bucket of everything, but I guess both in out of the classroom incidents in terms of interaction with students.
So in terms of the service delivery model, like push in and push out services, is
Yes,
that what
ma'am.
you're speaking to?
Yes, ma'am.
So I would have to go back with my data team and do research and provide you that information. But we definitely can pull a report through our Maryland Aligned system of students in terms of the number of hours they receive in the classroom and then outside of the classroom. So we do have that data that I can provide you.
And so, thank you for your response. And so, in terms of push in, push out, you take these data points each year, so you'll be able to compare between last year and this year?
Yes, with the service hours, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Dr.
That
Harris?
is.
Thank you. Board Member Adam Stafford.
Thank you. So given the situation with staffing shortages, what are the actual ratios or caseloads or class sizes that are included in this plan?
So if you look at our plan, we have various, probably over 40 different configurations as it relates to our staffing plan. So we have our early childhood staffing plan, our infants and toddlers. We have specific special education programs such as autism, social, emotional, academic development. We also look at the comprehensive students that are in general education classrooms, and we use a service hours-based formula for students in the elementary level. At the secondary level, we're looking at the number of students that are actually enrolled in certain courses to provide co-teaching services. So when we think about our staffing plan, there's about 40 different guidelines that we follow depending on the nature of the services that students require or if they're in a special education program. If you have specific questions, if it's elementary or secondary or based on a program, I can walk you through where you would find that information.
So let's say at the elementary level, at what point would the staffing plan be, basically a threat to us providing like the FAPE free and appropriate education for all students? At what point would that be compromised, like say at the elementary level?
So if we look at, and I'm just going to give you the page number just to reference it, because for the at the elementary level, we do look at IEP service hours. So we look at the number of hours that students have indicated on their IEP. On the comprehensive side, meaning those students that are in general education. Also at the elementary level, we have different staffing ratios that we follow based on the program, whether they're in community reference instruction, in our SEED program, in our regional program, et cetera. And so if you look at particularly our program students, there is a ratio that we look at. So for example, if you look at our regional special education program, we're saying that we would have 3 adults to 6 to 8 students. That gives us flexibility as enrollment shifts throughout the school year. Whereas our elementary students that are in general education, we look at those IEP service hours that then allow us to provide additional staffing, whether it's teachers or paraprofessionals. Does that answer your question, Board Member Adams?
Yes, thank you.
And just for your reference, on page 17 of the staffing model is where you'll see our elementary guidelines for staffing.
Any additional questions, comments? Then call, got to call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor to approve item 4.8?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will move to item 5.0, Budget Consent Agenda. Dr. Golson, please introduce items 5.1 through 5.7.
Thank you. Items 5.1 through 5.5 and item 5.7 requires board approval of a resolution for the continuation of the Foundation School Partnership for school year 2022-2023, October through 2022 expenditure requirements, Cool Springs Elementary School expansion feasibility study and design award of contract for architectural and engineering services, approval of the Blueprint School Phase 2 package and resolution of general terms for Blueprint Schools Phase 2 package under a public-private partnership model, approval of a contract for Blueprint Schools Phase 2 legal services, and ratification of the fiscal year 2023 through fiscal year 2025 contract between the Board of Education and the Prince George's County Educators Association.
May I have a motion to approve items 5.1 through 5.7, omitting 5.6?
Can we pull 5.4 and 5.5, please?
May I have a motion to approve items 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.7?
So moved.
It has been moved and second to approve items 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.7. All in favor?
Aye.
I meant that, so there's no discussion. No discussion, good. The motion the motion carries if there are no opposition. Since there's no opposition, we will move forward with approving the budget consent agenda items 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.7. Now we will move to items 5.4. May I have a motion?
I move that we approve items 5.4 and 5.5.
Second.
It has been moved to approve items 5.4 and 5.5. Now we will have any discussion. Board Member David Murray.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. I just wanted to provide some comments on item 5.4. I think there are a lot of good protections in this item around minority businesses, local hiring. However, I think it's important for the board to consider the need for enhanced protections in the future around wages, benefits, and health care for labor union workers. When we work with labor unions, we have protections in there for wage theft. We work with a lot of subcontractors on these massive projects. And when we don't have those protections in place, local county residents can find themselves in situations where they're victims of wage theft. On these projects, there will be undocumented workers that are hired. They'll be made to work long hours, potentially without breaks. These are all things that can be omitted when we, as a board, put protections in to work with labor unions. And so, I wanted to express that in the future, I would like to see things like that in items like 5.4. Since they're together for item 5.5, the proposal on board docs, it speaks to the RFP that was done. I would just ask that in the future it be included in the upload so that, we can, look through those original source documents. It basically just says we did all of these things and they all checked out, which is, nice, but it would be helpful for the board to see those things and do our due diligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further, Board Member Boozer-Strother.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate Dr. Goldson and Jason Washington on getting us to this point with the Built to Learn Act funds. It was consensus of our delegation and our county council that we move forward with more alternative construction financing projects, and I think that this is an excellent group of schools and buildings that have been identified for the program, and I'm in full support and want to thank you for including Hyattsville Elementary. And I just want to note that this goes deeper into the county as we renovate our schools. There's a lot of these same communities that have been neglected match a lot of the timelines of our schools and our need for renovation, where we see the Purple Line corridor, the overcrowding relief plan for Delphi Langley Park schools, our Beltsville schools, New Carrollton, City of Greenbelt, Spring Hill Lake, that these are investments for our entire county that we can be proud of, that when our residents and our students, our staff are in these new buildings that are clean energy schools, educationally adequate and respectful for our school system. And I just want to say, I think this is a great moment for us to be moving into phase 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Boozer-Strother. Board Member Adam Stafford. Well, we're still on 5.4. Okay.
Question was around the vendor that was selected, Kutak Rock LLP. It says that there was an RFP for this, for these legal services, and the budget implications are pretty large. I mean, this is a $4 million contract that they're receiving. Do you have copies of the scores or the information surrounding the RFP that we can see As my colleague mentioned, I think that that would be something good to include for board members to review as well, considering this is such a hefty contract here.
Was that a question?
Asked if they had those scores and if they can be included or sent to board members to review prior to meetings.
Dr. Golson, will you document that question and get back to board member?
Yeah.
Unless someone would like to address it tonight.
We provided.
Your mic is not on. And identify yourself.
Jason Washington, Prince George's County Public Schools. The contract, as part of the contract award, there is a legal justification that set forth all of our decision points and the scoring, and that was provided to our purchasing and procurement office. So that can be made available. We've documented it. Just to be clear, it's a maximum cost of $4 million over 3 years, depending upon the amount of services. On how quickly we're able to get to financial close, as well as the development schedule and construction schedule for the second phase. I would anticipate probably 18 months construction delivery for the elementary schools, and I'm hoping that we hear between 24 and 27 months for the K-8, which would put us in that 2026-2027 school year opening
Okay, thank you.
timeframe.
And in reference to item 5.5, so with the contract term for the vendor being 3 years, we don't expect it to, or we expect it to last the full term of phase 2. And
The concentrated effort for the legal services will be through the procurement and preparing the RFQ, RFP, and the project agreement. After that, it will be maintenance in terms of contract compliance through the design build period. And so should there be any issues related to interpretation, contractual issues, et cetera, but that's why I'm saying is that it's the full extent, but I do not anticipate there to be the expenditure that we will see over the next 18 months to get this to closing.
Right, and so the SAL reflects what you just said in terms of the scope of work, or the scope reflects what you just said in terms of what they'll be doing over the course of.
Yes.
Okay, got it, thank you.
That it? Dr. Harris? Okay. Any further discussion on 5.4 and 5.5? We'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries to approve items 5.4 and 5.5. We will now move to the we will now move to governance 6.0, second readers, unfinished business. Dr. Golson?
Before we move to item 6.0, We just left off of item 5.7, which was the ratification of the contract between the Board of Education and PGCEA. I thought we could use this opportunity for you all to sign the document and to do a photo op, so that the teachers can go if they so choose. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
So before we move to item 6.0, all persons who have to sign this PGCEA. Ladies and gentlemen, the contract is now official, and we will move to the next item on our agenda, the governance, second readers, unfinished business. Dr. Golson, please introduce items 6.1 through 6.3.
Thank you. Items 6.1 through 6.3 requires board approval of the capital improvement program for fiscal years 2024 through 2029. Prince George's County Public Schools 2022 through 2023 school year virtual day instruction plan and vaping litigation.
May I have a motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.3 under governance?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and second to approve the items 6.1 through 6.3. Discussion, Board Member Adam Stafford.
So my question is for Sean Matlock. We haven't received the actual budget for the capital improvement. We've received a 29-page summary, and I can recall receiving an actual book that has all of the items line by line, itemized for us to review prior to this time. So is that available, or when we haven't received that?
So typically, is this working? Can you hear me? All right. So typically, in the past, we have not always provided the full book. We were in the process of completing it, and we will make it available to you post haste. But the actual budget that you, all the budget numbers that you'll be voting on for the for this fiscal year are in the summary, and in addition, we have the 4-year numbers are in there as well for all the projects.
Well, I guess my point is, colleagues, I'm really not comfortable voting on the summary. I have some questions specifically regarding how these numbers compare to years prior, whereas when we had the full actual budget, we're able to draw some of those questions. For example, what are the architectural and engineering fees? What is the percentage that is being spent on those in the 2024-2029 school year budget?
So we don't typically provide those fees specifically for each project. Right. What we do provide is the state's Form 102, and that has some of the breakdowns and all the projects that are state funded for this year, except for the 2 phased renovation projects, have already been provided in the FY23 with all the breakdowns. So you have those numbers, you just don't have the new ones for the 2 phased renovation projects, which we can get to you quickly. Those documents are ready, almost ready to be.
I think that the important documents that we needed before this evening in order for us to make a vote on this, for example, another tab is about the administrative expenses. I looked through the report and I don't see that on here.
We don't provide the administrative expenses breakdowns for any of the projects except for the state and county funded projects. The county funded projects, we've never provided that information in the CIP documentation. What we do provide is the breakdowns for those state and county funded projects, and the only 2 that you have not seen are the 2 phased renovations, and they're not funded in FY24. They won't be funded until FY25.
Just for clarity, I'm sorry, I'm still speaking.
Dr. Golson wanted to address.
I just wanted to tell you where you could find the information. So for those projects, you can actually go to the guide, and for the projects, the state-funded projects that are on page 21 of the PowerPoint presentation, you can go back to your CIP book. For Suitland, the information can be found in Appendix A13. Cool Springs is A17. New Northern Area High School is A21. High Point is A25, and New International High School is A33. So it's information that you received last year. It's still it'll be the same information that we still send you, but if you need it right now, you can pull it up at pgcps.org/CIP.
I mean, right now, it's a little too late for us to go back and do that type of level of comparison. I was expecting that, as we received in years past, receiving that level of information prior to this evening. We're getting ready to take the vote at this time.
Actually, Mr. Matlock did bring it up in the August 18th meeting that this was a continuation and where you could see that information. So this information has been posted for about a month.
I think there's a difference between the summary being posted and the actual budget. That's what I'm trying to say.
We actually referenced that guide.
Which budget? Because it's not available on, I've looked through board docs and I haven't, all that I've seen is this 29-page document.
So once again, so what happens in our CIP guide, and we have done it since 2007, we post the guide on pgcps.org/CIP. It's listed for every year. What we provide is a continuation, so it's over 200 pages. What we present to all board members is the changed items that are in that 200-page document. So, for example, in this case, so every year this is what we're asking the state and the county for. We don't always get everything we ask for. So this is a great example. The projects that are on slide 21, we asked for these same projects and funding last year. We didn't get it. So we put them back in this year. So the information that you need for these projects you actually have from last year's report, which is actually posted. So when I gave those page numbers, they referenced the pages where you could find actually that data information that you need for those 5 projects. The only thing that will be different on that page is the projected enrollment for, I think, year 2027. But other than that, all that information is going to be the same.
I think what I'm trying to say is that having that information buried in this 29-page report, which is a summary, and not pulled out as its own separate document that we can look at and do our own comparison with the itemized larger document, I feel like that is part of the challenge that I'm having in developing questions for this evening and developing questions in general about the CIP budget. And so, you know, the questions that we were asking last year at this time, I wasn't able to form questions around that because I didn't have adequate information. So that's what I'm saying.
Duly noted.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Oh, I apologize. Board Member Murray, David Murray.
I just wanted to concur with the comments of Board Member Stafford. In addition to that, it would be helpful to get breakdowns by district in terms of what has progressed in the last year. In the past, I've had difficulty getting frequent updates on how projects are progressing, and then when I check back, timelines are not what they used to be. And so if there's a way to get that on a frequent basis by board district, that would be helpful as well.
Dr. Golson?
Yes, I just want to respond. CIP actually posts all projects in an Excel sheet on their page, and we update it every month. And we also insert a line for the school district, and it's in an Excel file so that you can download and then sort by your school district. So right now, it's listed in alphabetical order of the school name, but you can then download, and we actually have been doing that since I was the chief of operations, so it's on the page. Please feel free to download.
Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you very much. I think that the information that you provide each year is amazing. My husband can't wait to get those books out of our house in December, because I keep them every year, because the page, every school that is included in the CIP, it's in there. So if you're looking for a school, you really have to go back years to the first time it was initiated as a CIP project, and then every year it is updated. So that what we're doing today, if I understand correctly, is we're requesting a certain amount of money. We never get all of what we request, and so next year we have to come back and ask again. So typically, Mr. Matlock, how much do we typically ask for versus how much we typically get?
Well, in the past, if you go to some of our previous presentations, you'll see that we usually get about somewhere around, with the state, it's roughly about 60 to 75%, depending on the year.
60 to 75% of what we ask for.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, as we were trying to prepare to expand Potomac Landing as a result of the need to reduce the population at Accokeek Academy, because all of this ties together, we found that there was a CIP request that had been made for Potomac Landing years ago that we were able to come back and reinitiate. And so when we're looking at these budget books that are 4 or 5 year span, we have to keep in mind that it may be in the book, but it may not be funded. And so the next year, we have to ask for that funding again. So when you're asking for the book, or when you're making this request, you're submitting the request, and once we know what we get approved, then all of that stuff can be finalized in the book, and we can refer to that as a reference. So, so there is a lot of information, and I would love to know when our next workshop or work session would be on CIP. I don't think it's making it in the time frame for this year, so that we can sort of walk through, or the board members that remain can walk through the process and understand how the CIP budget is capital dollars that are spent over time versus our operating budget that is spent in 1 year. So, maybe that is something that can be put on as a work session for next school year. Thank you.
Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. One thing, Dr. Golson, regarding your comments on slide 21 in reference to the appendices, is it possible if we're utilizing the summaries but as an additional reference in addition to that 300-page document, is it possible to include those references to the appendices? Because I see you're pulling past information from the document anyway, so maybe to disseminate and maybe, make it a little more streamlined in terms of some questions that are being had. Maybe if it's a direct reference there that says, hey, we got this from page 14, then it might help to lessen the questions a bit.
We can, and we can add it to this presentation because our documents live on in board docs forever, so we will add them.
Because I assume since it's just an extension of the previous years, it'll be helpful to know, well, I'm looking at FY23 now, and this is what it means for 24 and XYZ, just for future reference.
I can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor of approving second reader unfinished business? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries to approve items 6.1 through 6.3. Now we'll move into new business. Dr. Golson, would you please introduce item 7.1, comprehensive maintenance plan?
Item 7.1, comprehensive maintenance plan, requires board approval as first reader.
I move that we accept item 7.1, FY 2023 Comprehensive Maintenance Plan as a first reader.
Second.
It has been moved in second to accept FY 2023 Comprehensive Maintenance Plan for the first reader. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries. Next, Board Member Mickens Murray, please introduce items 7.2 through 7.3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Policy and Governance Committee met virtually on September 13th, 2022, with the following members in attendance: Judy Mickens Murray, Committee Chair; Alvaro Saran Ruiz, Committee Vice Chair; Board Member Sonia Williams, and Board Member Pamela Boozer-Struther. The committee discussed the public comments to the following policies. The first policy, we had two policies. The first policy, 1500 Parent and Community Advisory Council, known as PCAC, is to establish a citizen advisory committee that the board and chief executive officer are being informed by a variety of opinions from citizens and staff when considering specific issues, policies, activities, and programs. The second policy, to receive a number after it goes through our process, sustainability, is to establish and implement a sustainability plan for Prince George's County Public Schools, which is in alignment with the Climate Change Action Plan, and which addresses conserving natural resources, protecting the environment, reducing waste, fostering energy cost containment, increasing the use of renewable energy, in meeting the school system's energy needs and promoting environmental literacy system-wide in accordance with applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations. The committee voted unanimously to forward both policies to the full board with a recommendation that the revised policies be approved by the Board of Education at the September 22nd, 2022 board meeting as a first reader. Madam Chair, I move that we approve policy 1500, Parent and Community Advisory Council, and policy sustainability as a first reader.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved in second that to approve items 7.1 through 7.3. Is there any discussion? Board Member Adam Stafford.
No, my question actually was around the vaping litigation, 6.3, so I don't know if it's possible for us to go back to that.
No, not right now. We're on items 7.1 through 7.3. Any further discussion? Call for the motion, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries to approve the 7.1 through 7.3 on new business first readers.
Thank you.
Now we will move to the non-consent agenda, and there are no items. Colleagues, let's talk about follow-up items. Any follow-up items will be posted on board docs. Now we will move to 10.0, motion to confirm actions taken in executive session. Motion is second to confirm actions taken in executive session on September 22nd, 2022 are as follows. To receive a report from the CEO, to discuss approved personnel appointments, to receive a report from internal audit, to receive an update on labor negotiations, to discuss personnel and administrative matters, to receive legal advice regarding pending litigation. May I have a motion to confirm the actions taken in the September 22nd, 2022 executive session?
Second.
It's been moved in second to confirm the actions taken in executive session today. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Oh, wait. Adam Stafford, your light is on. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries to confirm actions taken in executive session today, Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Now, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
It has been moved in second to adjourn the September 22nd, 2022 board meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's meeting. Be safe and drive carefully.